Hi, my name is Sarah Jane and I'm the Gallery and Program Director for the Port Angeles Fine Arts Center. I'm coming to you today from my home office and I have the really fun job of welcoming you to our very first virtual exhibit opening. This may not be a traditional opening reception, but it is very much a festive occasion. So I encourage you to pour yourself a drink, settle in. We are so glad that you're able to celebrate with us tonight. In my mind, this exhibit is all about relationships. It's about the ongoing relationship between the human race and this gorgeous blue space marble that we call home. It's about individual relationships between each of us and the particular parts of the environment that we know best. And it's about the relationship between image and meaning, between the material stuff of an artwork and the intangible truth that material somehow manages to convey. The title of this exhibit is a play on two different uses of the term abstract. In the arts, abstract usually describes a style of artwork. The Tate Museum describes abstract art as work that does not attempt to represent an accurate depiction of visual reality, but instead uses shapes, colors, forms, and marks to achieve its effect. Meanwhile, the scientists among us use abstract as a noun, meaning a brief summary of a much longer scholarly article. In that same way, I invite you to think about the 50 pieces selected for this exhibit as a kind of brief overview of the vast spectrum of environmentally focused art that's being created today. I recognize that abstraction can be confusing or challenging for some viewers, and later in this talk I'll share some of my favorite tips for looking at this style of artwork. First though, I want to consider why abstract art may be particularly well suited to exploring the complex systems and challenges of our natural environment. You see, abstract images ask a little bit more of us as viewers. They don't offer one obvious meaning or interpretation, right? Instead, they invite us into this kind of dialogue with the artwork as we ask questions and explore possibilities. This is an imaginative, open-ended way of thinking that goes beyond the logical, language-based thought processes most of us are comfortable with. I think abstract art can be helpful in making sense of our incredibly complicated relationship with the Earth and its fragile environments. After all, this planet is incredibly, almost unimaginably vast when compared to human beings, and yet it's also strikingly vulnerable to the impacts of human activity. Language doesn't always express that reality very well, but perhaps artwork can. Perhaps it's not surprising that some of the work in this exhibit captures the very real anxieties that many of us feel about climate change and environmental crisis. Works like Terry Grasteit's 3-meter sea rise or Diane Walker's Australia burning send a very clear message. All is not well here. Meanwhile, some of the other works in this exhibit deliberately emphasize the transcendent, meditative, and sacred qualities that the artists find in the natural world. I mentioned earlier in this talk that I had some tips to share about how to look at abstract art. Whether you're new to looking at abstract work and really not sure where to get started, or whether you have some experience with this, hopefully there's something here that will be helpful for everybody. So let's jump in. If you're not sure where to start, I would encourage you to take a few minutes and just look. Don't worry if you're not sure what you're looking at or what it means. Just take some time to notice and explore the different visual elements that are at play. Textures, colors, shapes, lines, forms, anything visual. Just take some time and soak that in, and don't worry about anything else. Pay attention to how your eye moves across the surface of the artwork. What part of the imagery attracts your attention first? What draws your eye outward from that portion to find other parts of the artwork? Are there elements that you only notice after looking at the artwork for a while? If we were looking at this exhibit in a gallery setting, I would encourage you to try looking very close and then stepping back and looking from a great distance. You can recreate this experience virtually by playing around with how you're viewing the screen. Bring your eyes up really close to the screen and see what you notice, or try stepping back, closing one eye while squinting the other. What stands out to you from each of these vantage points? You might also take some time to think about how the piece was made. Did the artist use bold, powerful brush strokes, tiny, precise pen lines, flowing washes of watercolor? Can you imagine what it felt like to make those marks? What kind of energy went into the physical creation of this piece? Thanks so much for being here with us tonight. If you enjoyed what you've seen of the show so far, I strongly encourage you to head on over to the Port Angeles Fine Arts Center website, where you can see images of all the artwork, learn a little bit more about the artists, and many of these pieces are available for sale. This is a really challenging time financially right now for artists as well as nonprofits like the Fine Arts Center. So if there's something that you've seen that you really love, making a purchase can make a real difference right now. While you're on our website, do be sure to check out our virtual program options. We've got some things available now and others coming later in the spring, so stay tuned for that. You may also be interested in a call to artists. We're looking for new sculptures to be added to Webster's Woods Sculpture Park this summer. And you can always become a member or make a donation. Your financial support really does make a big difference for the Fine Arts Center. Thanks.